All right, good morning. I'm glad a lot of people are here. I was afraid people would be ditching this thing. Did the 5K, golfing, et cetera, et cetera. All right, so actually it's kind of interesting from what Richard was saying. What did Janet talk about last night? Yeah, remember they were praying for $2 million. I don't think we should pray for that because that really is insane. But I challenge everyone to go back tonight with their family, their spouse, and say what amount of money. If you think this is important, if this is worthwhile, say what amount of cash can we drop on this program. Has anyone read Mere Christianity? Is anyone Christian here? Okay, so early in the book, C.S. Lewis says, if you're not giving to the point where you're hurting, you're not giving enough. And that's really scary. I tell it to Joyce, and you know what Joyce does? She just walks away. All right? But the point being, I really agree with Janet, you can't outgive God. Even Joyce and I, we've been blessed so many times financially where we step out on a limb, this is not smart, because it's not smart, and then you get it all back and more. It's pretty awesome. Okay, now we're going to get into the talk here. It's really been really nice because a lot of women have come up to me and said, I really enjoy your talks. I love it. We're going to make changes. Very few guys have come and talked to me. All right? So here's the deal. Guys, do not cap me. Do not shoot me. I'm the messenger. Okay? All right. But this is a really important talk. We're going to talk about mind, body, and spirituality here. So going on the 5K here, this is really important. The power of the mind is super important. Whether you think you can or whether you think you can't, you're right. Our attitude is incredibly important. There's actually data on how powerful your attitude is. If you think you can't do it, if you think the pretty girl is going to turn you down when you ask her out, you know what's going to happen? She's going to turn you down. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. If you think, man, I can't finish a marathon, I can't lose weight, I can't do anything, you're definitely going to fail. Self-fulfilling prophecy. If you think you can do it, then there's a shot at the title. You may make it. Oh, also, I'm posting all these slides on the West Coast Camp Meeting Facebook page. Half of them are already up. Okay. Anyone know what this cryptic number thing means? It's actually a really interesting story. Okay, Bannister. Okay, so this is the newspaper. Roger Bannister broke the 4-minute mile. Back then, the doctors thought if someone could break a sub-4 mile, his heart would probably explode and he would die. All right? I love it. The only bad thing about not looking at really stupid old medical advice is we can't make fun of them face to face. All right? Because that's just ridiculous. Now, Bannister finally did it. He went 359.4. All right? Then what happened? Remember, everyone thought this was a physical impossibility. I think 40 days later, what happened? Someone else did it. In the next 16 months, what happened? 40 people went sub-4. Once someone did it, and everyone realized it's not impossible, people are doing it like crazy. High school kids go sub-4 now. High school kids. All right? It's totally possible. All right. PC or Mac? Who's a PC guy here? Okay, Uni. Okay, PC really means politically correct. All right, so there's some really incredible quotes here, really powerful. First one here. Choose not to be harmed and you won't feel harmed. Don't feel harmed and you haven't been. This is from Marcus Aurelius. Right now, everyone on internet or the news, what's the first thing you hear a story? What's the response? It's outrage. Can't believe it. You get totally pissed off. You get mad. All right, that's ridiculous. All right, we don't have to be that way. Our lives are what our thoughts make it. And this is all the fluffy part. There's actually data behind this. I'll get to that. All right, but it's totally true. This is awesome. And this is from Marcus Aurelius. You have power over your mind, not outside events. We can control what we think. We can't control the government, can't control our church family, can't control our kids even sometimes. All right. When you realize this, you will find strength. That's when you have power, when you realize that. Okay? All right. Anyone know what the 40% rule is? This is really cool. All right, this is a Navy SEAL mantra, okay? What the idea is once you think you have nothing left to give, you still have 40%. All right, and that's what these guys, like during Hell Week and stuff, can do incredible things. Same thing, a lot of people when they run the marathon, you hit the wall at mile 20, what do people do? It's incredible, the vast majority of people do not quit, they complete the marathon, feeling utterly miserable. So the 40% rule is really true. All right, even though who ran the 5K today? Who wanted to quit running up the hill? Who quit? Don't keep your hand down. All right. Yeah, but you don't have to quit. And we'll skip. Yeah, here. Okay. Placebo, how strong the mind is. I'm a runner. This is an incredible story here. Anyone know what oxy-RBX is? It's nothing. It's saline. So they had a trial. They had two runner groups. Group 1 got a saline injection of oxy-RBX, which does nothing. All right. Group 2 trained normally. All right. Anyone know how long it takes to have a training effect on your time, typically? It takes about 2 weeks. All right. So what they told, though, they go, hey, oxy-RBX is a weak EPO analog. It's like Epogen, what all the bikers shoot up to get more red cells, to get more oxygen carrying capacity. So the guys, this is fascinating. Here's the data. Control group dropped their time a little bit. Placebo group getting oxy-RBX seriously dropped their time. All right. And what happened, they're only doing this for a 2-week time period. You really should not be able to drop your time in 2 weeks of training. So what this was the placebo effect. They actually asked them, do you feel like it's easier running? And the vast majority goes, oh yeah. It's much easier to run with this stuff. But it was just a saline shot. And this study is incredible because they were injecting them. It's not even a pill, they were injecting themselves with this stuff. It's crazy. All right, now the mind can have a positive impact, but can also be a negative impact. All right. This is a really interesting study. Outbursts of anger as a trigger for acute cardiovascular event. This is a big meta-analysis. And what you find is for myocardial infarction, acute coronary syndrome, which is basically ischemic heart disease, ischemic stroke, aneurysm, like popping an aneurysm, and ventricular arrhythmias, they all go higher after an acute episode when you snap. So suppose you have an argument with your wife. All the risks of all these things go up. You get mad at your kid. The risks of all these things go up. You're at work, and someone does something at work, and you can't believe it, and you get mad. And the risk of this all goes up. This is the important part. How long is the window of risk elevated for? What do you guys think? Get the kids in the front. Anyone want to hazard a guess? It's about 2 hours. So I think you get mad, and for the next 2 hours, you're going to have problems. All right? This is very interesting. On the left is the CDC death map. On the right is they mine Twitter for negative wording in the tweets. And what you can see is on the overlay, by county, the death rate is higher in the mean tweeting areas. All right. Now clearly that doesn't mean the mean tweeters are going to die. We all hope they die, but they're not going to die. But what that means is probably your local community, your neighborhood, if you have a bunch of people that are like really kind of unhappy, that's going to increase the event rate, okay? And then, yeah, basically, don't be a troll. Who's been trolled on internet? Like on Facebook or Twitter? Troll, that's when people you don't know jump on your feed and they just are big jerks. I'm not talking about your friends. Your friends are big jerks on your feeds anyway. But, okay, I hate the trolls. Okay. Has anyone seen this? This came out, I think, 2 months ago, the Cigna insurance loneliness study. This is really scary stuff here. Half of Americans feel that they are alone or left out. All right? And it's interesting, we were in the cafeteria yesterday, and you can actually see, even though we're in a camp meeting, everyone kind of knows each other. There's still adults and kids that are sitting by themselves. All right? Now, really, I should go, I was talking to my wife, so I didn't do this, but I should go talk to the guy and sit with that guy, do something. All right? But people are really lonely, and you can be lonely in a crowd. It's pretty scary here. All right, this is interesting. 27% rarely or never feel as people understand them. They have no meaningful connection, 1/4 of the country. All right, that's really, really scary here. All right, and then we're going to kind of go. There's a bunch of other, you can look this up online. There's a bunch of fascinating data. The other thing is Generation Z is the loneliest generation right now. It's not the millennials, that's Generation Z. Okay, we'll skip this for time here. This is a huge study. This is 34,000 people tracked for 24 years. So this is a monster study and about social connectivity. And what they found here is, this is categories of social integration. Basically, 4 means you have lots of connections, lots of interactions, and those guys don't die that much. 1, where you're the most isolated, less social, you die a lot. What's really interesting is here, if you go to religious service at least once a week, Sabbath, you cut your death rate by half. Yeah. Unless you're a really mean person that comes to church, then maybe 25%. But But think about this, and this goes back to the blue zones or anything else, that whole social connectivity where you go, potluck, man, the thing where you get together and you break bread together and you sit down and you talk, that is monstrous. That's why when you have meetings with people you don't like, it's always at a restaurant. There's something to break the ice, kind of connect with people. You can complain about the food or enjoy the food together, but there's something besides the topic you have to talk about. Breaking bread's awesome. All right, this is interesting. This is going back to obesity. This is a social map from the School of Public Health at Harvard. Every yellow dot is an obese person. And what they found is obese people cluster, healthy people cluster. But the reason I'm showing this is because what you see is most people they found have about 3 or 4 tight social connections. Most. Now you can see from the social map, there's people that have 1. So if that one social connection is broken, they are now completely isolated. All right. Now, why do we care? No one's going to answer this question. But hopefully no one feels totally socially isolated. If you do, please see your pastors. Okay, don't see me. I can't help you there. All right. But what are we going to do about this? Why is this important, being socially isolated? Health, yeah, we talked about that. Health is important. This is really interesting. One of the big things they think about the active shooters is these kids are totally socially isolated. Okay? All right. Now, actually, I have a whole talk about guns and medicine and the data. But a big part of this is what you can do. We're not going to fix active shooters and suicides in this talk. But please realize this is a big part of the problem here. All right. So, basically, we all, and this is true. We kind of all know back at the church or the school, the kid doesn't fit in. The people that say they don't know, they're either lying or they're totally oblivious. But almost everyone knows, like, Johnny X, he doesn't really play sports, doesn't really fit in, and no one's making any effort to reach out to that kid. And same thing, there's a new guy that comes to church, no one says hi to that guy. You know what he does? He leaves church. One of the big reasons, I'm going to digress a little bit because I think we have time today. But we did a Centerville church in Ohio, and the reason we went there is I went to visit, and you know what you do when you go to a new church? You stand in the lobby, like you know what's going on. You don't have a clue what's going on, and you have a friend. So 2 people came up and talked to me, all right? And they both talked to me for like 2 to 3 minutes, but they got my name, welcomed me. The next time I came, when those guys saw me, they made sure they came and talked to me again, and they called me by my name, which is crazy. There's a guy named Vern Lufus, who's the doctor. I'm going to name him by name. He passed away about 3 years ago. But when we had first 13th Sabbath, he found me and he washed my feet. I mean, that guy is amazing, seriously. So you do stuff like that, and people are not going to leave that church. They're going to come to the church. Amen. Okay, so what can we do about this in the short run? This is an incredible study. I call this the felon study. This is from the state of Washington. They looked at all the felons that were convicted, and they had the felons rate the lawyers that were representing them, all right? And of all the factors, only one factor mattered. Client felt listened to. They lost the case, they were convicted felons. The lawyer lost the case. But the only thing that mattered to the client was, hey man, I felt like my lawyer was listening to me and he believed me. Think about that. These are hardened criminals. The only thing that mattered about lawyer satisfaction score was that the lawyer listened to them. Pretty powerful. Same thing. What do our kids want? Did they want Xbox? They do. But what do our kids really want? They want your attention. They'll either get it doing good stuff or get it doing bad stuff. But man, they really want mommy, daddy, look at me, notice me, am I important? That's the bottom question they're really asking. Mom, dad, am I important or not? And how we respond tells them, you're meaningless or man, you mean everything. So think about that. All right, stress. Stress is an important thing. We're going to talk about that. Anyone like Z-Dog, MD? Oh, dude. Okay, Z-Dog's really funny. Anyway, this is this Darth Vader thing. All right, so when they study stress in medicine, how do they measure stress? Anyone know? No, how do they say like, you're a high stress person, low stress person? How do they know? Intake of what? Questionnaire. Yeah, it is a questionnaire. Anyone else know? Usually some, huh?
The mood ring.
That's really scientific. I like that. That's good. For 3 cents, we're going to do a study. All right. So a lot of people think like they do galvanic skin response and stuff like that, which is actually interesting for like finding psychotics. But for stress, when they study it, all they ask you in the survey, they go, are you no stress, high stress, medium stress, or low? And this is why this is important. Perception, in most of the studies read on stress, it's perceived stress impact on whatever. So it's perception, it's perceived stress. This is a great study. So what they did is they basically asked 2 questions. How stressed you are, and do you think it impacts your health? And then they found out the event rates. So just to go to the bottom here, the only people that had a higher mortality rate were the people that 1, had a lot of stress, and 2, they felt it affected their health. If you had a lot of stress and you thought it didn't really affect my health, it didn't. Your perception was the most important thing. All right, no, think about this. It's self-fulfilling prophecy. If you feel miserable, you are miserable. If you're happy, you're going to be happy. All right. This is an incredible study. So it's great when you read these papers that are kind of fluffy, like, oh, I feel stressed, and then I die sooner, and stuff like that. This actually has mechanistic data on why this occurs here. So this is the hypothesis. You get stressed, the amygdala, which is the midbrain, deep, reptilian brain, whatever you want to say, gets turned on, activates bone marrow, send out some inflammatory cells. Those inflammatory cells go to your large blood vessels and help make plaque. So they can quantitatively look at this, and so they did. Now what they did, they looked at MRI, functional MRI, to see what areas are turned on in your brain. And people that had high midbrain activity, those guys actually, high, they died faster. They had lower survival. All right, low midbrain activity, they did better. Same thing here. This is just stress. If you had low stress, low stress, you did better. High stress, you did worse. Now this is where it gets really interesting. So these are examples. On the left is a low stress person. On the right is a high stress person. So the low stress person, midbrain is not activated. Your aorta, the main blood vessel in your chest, is not inflamed. It's not taking up tracer for inflammation. And your bone marrow is not activated. High stress person, midbrain is activated. Your aorta is globally inflamed, which is scary, and your bone marrow is churning out a bunch of inflammatory cells. All right, so this is probably the mechanistic model of what makes people have cardiac events and then death due to stress. Okay, so try not to stress yourself out here. All right, that's the quantitative data. And this is also interesting. Anyone know what a telomere is? Yeah, it's the caps of your chromosome. When you replicate, the telomeres get shorter, and that's the way you can age your cell. The shorter your telomeres, technically the older the cellular age of your cell. So basically, stress shortens your telomeres. All right, you're the same age, right? But your telomeres are getting shorter. You're burning your wick at both ends, so to speak. Now work. This is really interesting. There's kind of a U-shaped curve here. In the middle, there's a sweet spot, but increased mortality if you're probably going over 60 hours per week, increased mortality if you're doing less than 20 hours per week. All right, and this is probably you're being overworked, and here you're probably not making enough money. All right, no, I mean, seriously. So this is kind of the U-shaped curve. There's a sweet spot of enough work, but then you have too much or too little. Okay, who loves work? Okay, Tony, you're at work right now. Seriously, which is cool. All right, I love work. I have a great job. All right, but if you love work, it's really nice here. This is a great quote here from Ryan Holiday. Blessings and burdens are not mutually exclusive. All right. All right. Now, who put this a better way? There's a better version of this quote. Okay, I'm just going to have to give it to you here. Okay, of course it's hard. It's supposed to be hard. If it was easy, everyone would do it. Hard is what makes it great, from League of Their Own. All right? Yeah, hard, difficult gives things meaning. If it was easy and everyone did it, then who cares about it? All right? And when I think about this, well, we'll go through some data here. When I really think about this, I think of like the VBS people. So they're working like dogs all day long. And then there's a reward for doing that, but it's a big burden. Is the kid going to get injured? Am I teaching the kid anything? Are the parents going to get mad at me? It's very difficult. All right? Well, the other thing I think about VBS is what? Birth control. Okay, I go in that room and I go, we should shut it down, man. We need to stop. Well, I'm going to stop. Just use birth control. Okay. Has anyone read the book Flow? Okay, highly recommend this book. This is a really good book. But what they find is they actually had pagers on people, and they would page them and say, what are you doing and how happy are you right now? All right, and then it could be like, and then this is very interesting. People that were really happy were surgeons as a profession. That was probably one of the highest ones, and they were really happy when they're in the OR doing something because they felt like they were in the zone doing their thing. Other people when they're in the zone, it was interesting. Running was huge, reading books was huge, and knitting was huge. And we'll talk about why here in a second here. But the important thing is happiness. What's happiness? Happiness happiness is actually important. What's pleasure? Did I have this up here? Yeah. It's not the same. Pleasure is a feeling, an acute feeling, like, oh, I just had that, God's milkshake. It feels really good. Or, I'm loafing around at the end of a day. It feels really good. That's pleasure. It's not happiness. And what they found here is that most people are in a state of what they call flow or happiness. Are they on vacation or are they at work? What do you guys think? They're at work. So we'll go through the data here. Here's the data from the study here. Work, you're in flow half the time. It occurs at work. You're only apathetic about 16% of the time at work. Interesting, leisure, vacation, apathy half the time, flow only 18% of the time. So, honestly, have you guys been on vacation and go, man, I'm bored? Seriously. Yeah, that happens all the time. What they found is the worst, and it's not universal, but the most apathetic, least happy vacation activity was powerboating. Which is shocking, because if I was rich enough to own a boat and running around on a lake, I think you'd be happy. But he goes, that was the one that has the most apathetic, no one cared. They were just, it's okay. They were not that into it. Okay, and here's the example we'll talk about flow. This is why knitting is so important, or why knitting is so powerful. What you want to do is, this is your own skill level, and this is the challenge. So if you're knitting, it's kind of, you got to keep track of the pattern, you're listening, watching TV, and it's a new pattern you're doing, you're kind of in this zone. If you're doing something super easy challenge, you're in this boredom zone. I'm going to take tennis as an example. I was at PUC, and I was in a tennis class my senior year. I already got accepted to med school, so I didn't care about my grades anymore. And for some horrible reason, the teacher put me in the A group with all these really good tennis players, so I didn't win a game the whole quarter. I won a whole quarter, did not win a single game, not a match, a game. Because these guys were just, Jeff Cummings was in my group too. So I just got smoked. All right, that's because my skill level in tennis is low. All my partners are over here. I was in the overwhelmed group. All right? No, but and this is why you want to find something where it's kind of in your skill level, a little bit of a challenge, and that gets you into doing something that's actually meaningful, kind of happy for you. And same thing with video games. Once you master the video game, do you keep playing it? No, you dump it. It's so boring. All right, at the beginning, it was like, oh, this is awesome. I got to play for 8 hours. And then it's like, I hate this game because it's too easy. All right, so we all experience this. All right, so what can we do about stress? Okay, so this is a survey from, I think it's Robert Wood Johnson Foundation. And basically, these are things that people have done in the big survey to reduce stress. Regularly spend time outdoors. Hike. This is awesome. All right, Dan Park, I'm not going to mention you by name. All right. Guess I just did. All right, spend time on a hobby, exercise, pet therapy. I totally disagree with this. That's fine. Look at this. Meditate or pray. Okay? All right, spend time with family or friends. Get sleep. And then we have some other stuff here. But these are the things that have been highly used to get healthier, decrease stress. Okay? All right.
Explain that prescription medicine.
Yeah, you can use prescription medicine, but I'll tell you right now, it doesn't work that well. Yeah, you can go to sleep. Oh no, it makes you sleepy. You can't be stressed when you're asleep. But yeah, it's not effective long term. Okay. This is kind of cool too. Relaxation induces a temporal transcriptome, RNA, what genes your DNA is writing into your RNA, changes energy metabolism, insulin secretion, and inflammatory pathways. All right. When you relax yourself, you're getting better glucose control, you're not having all these trophic growth factors like insulin, and your inflammatory markers are going down. All right. This is another example of epigenetics. We're not slaves to our DNA. It's basically we can control what genes are turned on and off. It's pretty powerful stuff here. All right, perspective. This is the Asian girl. We should be familiar with this. Okay. So this is one of the most important things, right? Because we're like, especially, we're all, we all want to be perfect, be better, and etc. But that's the goal for that, striving for that's not really useful. Okay. So here's some other ones, some really interesting quotes. This is from, I don't know if you guys like Denzel Washington. I don't know if you guys watch movies, but here it goes anyway. This is a really great quote. He was at what they call the Actors Roundtable. And then one guy was saying how hard it is to be an actor. And then Denzel lit him up. And this is his quote. It was awesome. People say, oh, the difficulty of making a movie? I say, send your son to Iraq. That's difficult. It's just a movie. It's like, relax. I don't get to play that precious nonsense. Get out of here. Your son got shot in the face? That's difficult. Making a movie, it's a luxury. It's a gift. It's an opportunity. And most importantly, it's a gift. Obviously, everyone here in this room has enough talent to do it. But he says, don't get it twisted. It was bad. I mean, he just put that guy down. All right? But it's true. It's perspective. All right? I tell this story a lot, but I was rounding on call at the hospital on Super Bowl Sunday. So we're all in there in the morning at 8 o'clock. Super Bowl, for East Coast, Super Bowl starts at 6 p.m. All right? You guys are so lucky on the West Coast, man. So I'm in the hospital at 8. I'm definitely going to make it home for most of the pre-game show and the game. So I talked to a doctor. I go, hey, man, how's it going? We're getting coffee. And he goes, what do you think? I'm in here. And I was like, I just left because I don't want to talk to that guy. But think about that. I mean, we have a really good job. Doc, I'm still going to see Super Bowl. I mean, why be that way? Okay, don't get all twisted, man. Steph Curry is a little bit old, but I bring it up because it's West Coast. A lot of people like the Warriors and stuff here. So the data is a little bit old because Steph got a new contract. But 2 years ago, Steph Curry was the 4th highest player on the Warriors. All right? That's absurd. Okay? Kevin Durant, when they signed him and brought him over, and that's a whole bunch of other jokes about Kevin Durant, he was getting 26 million. And this is the quote. They asked him specifically, Steph, how do you feel about being the 4th highest player on your team? And this is what he said. One thing my pops always told me is you never count another man's money. That's not relevant. Here's the important part. It's what you got and how you take care of it. And if I'm complaining about $44 million over 4 years, then I got other issues in my life. All right, it's really about perspective. All right, why are we complaining? And when I think about this, my sister always is telling her girls this. Like, your daughter will come up, Mom, Wi-Fi's down. And my sister won't even try to fix it. She goes, first word problem. And just leaves it alone. All right, like someone here has a bad latte. All right, that's irrelevant, okay? All right, it's small problems in the face of everything else here. All right, why worry? Why should we worry? Should we worry? No, can't help it, but we shouldn't. There's a couple of really good quotes about this. He who suffers before it's necessary suffers more than is necessary. Because you're already living the horror before it happens. It might not even happen. All right, that's Seneca. All right, this is really great. I'm an old man. I've known a great many troubles, but most of them never happened. All right, Mark Twain. Mark Twain is brilliant. Actually, it's funny. Whoop. They said Mark Twain, if he was alive now, he would own Twitter. You know how quick he is? He would just destroy everyone. It'd be awesome. All right, but here is the most incredible thing about worry, and we own this. This is Matthew 6. All right, what's really cool about this, I don't have to read this to you because most people have this memorized. I was riding in a car with my son Josh, who's going to go to Southern next year. And he's kind of anxious about it. And so he starts telling me, Dad, I'm a little bit worried about Southern. And then I'm about ready to go with my boilerplate. Don't worry about it, life is good, it'll be all fine. And before I can get any of that garbage out, he goes, but I always think of Matthew 6. And I'm like, thank God for Joyce, because I didn't teach him that. All right? No, but this is huge for us here. Okay. Now, kind of back, I love listening to the pages, especially Janet. This is being taped, so hopefully she doesn't watch this part of it. But one thing is, she tells a lot of stories about incredible answered prayer. I've had a lot of answered prayers. I've had lots of partially answered prayers. But I'll be honest, I've had lots of no's. And a lot of bad no's. And the bad no's are people dying. And that's really hard to deal with. And that can really jack up your faith. So my model for faith is basically this. All right? Faith's not believing that you're going to get what you want. Faith's believing that God's going to help you handle whatever you get. Has anyone read When Good Things Happen to Bad People? Okay, highly recommend that book. The first half of that book just destroys all the different cliches, like they're meant to die, or this is the meaning of it, or they're ready to die. Almost no one's ready to die. Almost no one wants to die. There's no meaning in death. Death sucks. Death is from a choice that Adam and Eve made a long time ago. But the choice we can make here is how we're going to deal with it. And that book talks about you can put meaning into these events by how you connect socially and support each other. The actual event really has no meaning. And then I'll be honest, there's a bunch of studies where they talk about how you engage people that have suffering. When you go up and tell them it was meant to be, or it's good that they passed away, that person wants to kill you. You're not helping them, really. Just say, hey man, I'm glad you're here. What can I do for you? Support that person. But trying to put artificial external meaning, we all know it's fake. I mean, seriously. All right, having still said that, pray, because we got to be patient. I'm going to talk about my father, because he's not at camp anymore. He left. So he left the church about, 15 years ago. And that was really difficult for me, because growing up, and Joyce is going to laugh, because she has a totally different view of my parents than I do. But when I thought of the word integrity, I thought of my father. Because he would always do whatever for the church, no matter how bad it hurt our family. And my mom was always on his case, like, stop giving money and helping those guys out. We need money. And my dad's like, we got to do this because we have some extra money and these guys don't. And then, so I listen to this all the time. So I go, my dad has high integrity. Then when he left the church, that was like really shattering for me, because it was basically based on pride. So I would fight with my dad all the time. Every time we visit him, go, come on dad, let's go to church. Come to church with us just this one time. And he'd go, no. Has anyone seen my second kid, Noah? I think he's reasonably cute. You know, kind of charming. So then Joyce and I go, Noah, go tell Grandpa to come to church with us. And my dad was such a jerk, he'd go, no. I mean, he turned down his grandkid. All right, wouldn't go to church. So anyway, Joyce gave me a great suggestion. She goes, let's just pray. Because if you think you're going to fix this, you're totally wrong. So we prayed. I think it's 12 years. It took 12 years, and they're back to church 7 months ago. So yeah, it's amazing. The incredible thing is, you guys all know how the older generation is. We're driving in a car, going to a Korean restaurant to eat, and my dad turns to me and goes, Harvey, Joyce, because he can't talk English very well. And he goes, I want to apologize for being so rough on you guys all these past years. And that was amazing. All right, so, but what's really cool here is, and this goes back to the social isolation, I was seeing people that haven't seen my dad in 15 years running up and just hugging on that guy like crazy. When you love on somebody, man, that has a huge impact. So I'm really hoping this campaign kind of solidified the last 7 months and will carry him forward. All right, thank you for listening to that. So, all right, gratitude. So this is actually really cool. And actually Janet talked about this doing the prayer journaling. But this has actually been studied. This is Deepak Chopra. I think he was the senior author on this. Isn't it? Oh yeah, Deepak Chopra. Okay, so anyway, this is a study about just doing gratitude. And what they actually recommended to the patients is every morning, write a couple things down in a book that you are happy for, that you have gratitude for. And you know what happened to these patients? It was incredible. Gratitude improved, sleep was better, mood better, self-sufficiency better, and anti-inflammatory biomarkers measured went down. All right, positive, holistic effect on the person. All right, so I tell this, is this something you can take back home, tell your patients, or just tell your wife, husband, or do it yourself? And this is what I do. The first part of my prayer in the morning is always like, thank you God for, and you just knock it out. All right, because there's a whole bunch of stuff we should be happy for. We can run a 5K, doesn't matter how slow or fast it is. You know, we're getting kind of free food. Actually, I'll be honest, I'm sick of the same breakfast for 5 days. I hate to complain. But you know, there's coffee available. We're here with friends. There's so many things to be thankful for. You know, we're healthy, etc. So gratitude's a big thing here. This is a great quote. The struggle ends when gratitude begins. All right. Once you change your mindset to life is good, life is better, life gets a lot easier. All right. So there's a really cool exercise. Joyce actually mentioned this to me. What did the Israelites do when they crossed the Jordan? Yeah, it wasn't actually an altar, but it was a monument. They took 12 stones, one person from each tribe, and they put there. And then what did the dudes say about it? They said, point to this when your kids ask you what the Lord has done for you. So this is Friday, Sabbath will be tonight. One thing that's really cool is tonight, think about maybe take something like your kid. And Joyce and I did this for Joshua, and we thought back from when he was born, all the different crazy things we went through to get him to the point where he's now going to college. And you really realize, man, there's been a bunch of miracles, a bunch of people that had no business intervening, but they intervened, they didn't have to, and that made a huge impact on the path of our whole lives, my son's life, but also our lives. All right. Then what's really cool, do the exercise, and I'm not going to read this verse, then read Isaiah 65:24. All right, I'm not going to read the verse now. You have to do the exercise and read that verse, because then it will like blow your mind. It's so awesome. This is like one of my favorite verses now. Okay, think positive. Here's the meta-analysis of thinking positive data. Basically, if you think positive, or if you think negative, there's a 30 to 40% increase in event rate just by your attitude. If you think positive, you can reduce your risk anywhere from 50 or 10 to 60% just by having a good outlook. All right, and let's be honest, there's happy people and they seem to keep getting more go-lucky. There's depressed people and they just keep telling you more and more of their problems. All right, attitude, simple change of attitude makes a big difference here. Okay, habits change your life. This is a great quote here. Watch your thoughts, positive, negative, they become your beliefs. That's totally true. Watch your beliefs, they become your words, what you say outside. This is how you impact your family and friends. Watch your words, they become your actions. Basically, you're kind of teaching yourself what you're going to do. Watch your actions, they become your habits. Watch your habits, they become your character. You are going to build who you are by what you think. Your mind is the most powerful thing we got here. Anyone know who said this? Good guess. But no, Vince Lombardi, okay? It's not supposed to be funny, but it's like, this is a good quote, come on. All right? Okay. Now, there's a couple of behaviors that can actually make a big difference. Forgiving. All right, this is a very fluffy study. It was published in a psychiatry journal, but they got some psych students. Group A journaled about a person they hated and forgave them on paper. Group B didn't do it. And they took them to a hill, and they go, estimate the grade of this hill. All right, do I have that? The grade, yeah. And what they found is the unforgiving group thought the hill was steeper. All right, the forgiving group thought the hill was actually more flat. That's okay. Here's the more important part. Then they measured the vertical leap of both groups. All right, and then guess who jumped higher? The forgiving group. All right, they actually jumped higher. And you can only get away with this in a psychiatry journal. But they actually wrote, it was as if a weight was lifted off their shoulders and they can jump higher. I read that, I go, man, I wish I was a psychiatrist. I could publish at will. Okay, but it's true, right? When you hate somebody else, who's suffering the most? That other person doesn't even know you hate them. So all the cancer, all the angst is inside of you. Now on the flip side is, the biggest thing for me when I converted, I'll tell this a little bit later, but I was actually born in the church, went to PUC, basically emotionally, intellectually checked out the church and came back. The reason I really came back was a couple things, but one of them really was I really felt that God was going to forgive me for all the selfish, crazy stuff I did in the past. And once I had that feeling, it's like, it really feels like weights off your shoulder, you have peace, and you're like, man, I don't have to drag that whole bag of garbage I've done my whole life. Makes a big difference. Forgiveness, both ways, is very, very important. Okay. Cardiology fellows, that's cardiology people in training. They made them watch Something About Mary or Saving Private Ryan. They measured brachial artery reactivity. So they have an ultrasound, they blow up your blood pressure cuff, and they see how quickly your artery re-expands. The arteries that expand more, those are healthy. The arteries that constrict are unhealthy. They did it before and after watching both of these movies. So both groups crossed over. Same person, they tried it on both movies. They also, for complete disclosure, they also watched Kingpin. Okay? Has anyone watched Kingpin? Anyone want to admit? Who owns Kingpin? Okay. All right, here's the data. This is fascinating. All right, the funny movie group. Saving Private Ryan, immediate decrease in brachial artery reactivity. The other thing that's very important to note is but think about this. This is just the impact of laughter. Now, this is really interesting too. How long does laughing protect you? How long does that vasodilatory effect last? Go, higher. 2 days. So when you're mad and you snap, 2-hour risk window. When you're happy, 2 hours of protection. 2 days, I'm sorry. Okay, what? Okay, so the other interesting thing is I was at the presentation for this, when they were presenting this study, and the is it he had a one Langley's research team was a bunch of MIT people. Does anyone know anything about the Wright brothers? What do they own? Did they own it because that was their hobby? Did anyone on the Wright brothers team go to college? All right. So anyway, the Wright brothers obviously they beat Langley to manned flight. And I don't know if this is totally true, the timing, but they say once this is general knowledge and announced, what did Langley do the next day? He quit. He dropped out of the whole airplane building business. He said, I'm not first, I can't monetize this, I quit. Because that was not his big why. That was not his big reason to live. The Wright brothers had one thing they wanted to do. They wanted to fly. That's it. The bicycle shop was just to make some money so they can go play with their toys. All right? Reason why, what is important to you? It's a very, very important question here. All right, has anyone seen this Japanese sign here? Okay, so we're going to spend some time on this, but I think it's actually kind of important here. What you love to do is up here, what you're good at, what the world needs, which is actually really important, and what you can be paid for. I mean, we got to pay the bills here. If you can find something that hits all four of them, that's pretty good. All right, but you think about if what you love and what the world needs, that's mission. All right, because you don't have to get paid to go to India or whatever. All right, that's actually your mission field. If you're good at it and you love it, that's your passion. You should do that as a hobby at the minimum. All right? All right. The world needs it. It's a monetary skill. You can get paid for it. That's your job. Okay? But the more you can move up into here, into the central area, or even higher, typically the more happy you are. This gives you purpose, meaning, etc. Okay. This is really, really good. David Brooks. This is the shortest TED Talk. Have you heard his TED Talk? Yeah, this is really powerful. It's like, I think, 4.5 minutes long. But he talks about Adam 1, Adam 2. All right, and we'll go through this real quickly. Adam 1 is secular, worldly man. Adam 2 is spiritual man. So Adam 1 is the richest, busiest, best, has the most stuff. That's how the world quantitates your value, your success. Adam 2, spiritual man, he's the happiest, deepest relationships, most caring, most giving. All right. Who do you want to be? And, dude, that's awesome, dude, that you said that. Seriously, that's cool. All right, Adam 2. And the great thing is you get to make your choice here. This is a study, then we're going to go to the last 5 slides, which are pretty important here. They actually did a study looking at Lipitor, which is the anti-cholesterol statin pill, versus going to church. What makes you live longer? What's more cost effective? And since it's published, and since I'm presenting it here, the obvious answer is that going to church is actually more cost effective than taking a statin. All right, think of the impact. Being the social connectivity, all this being forgiven, all these things are so, so important for your life here. All right, the power of choice. Here's a great quote here. This is from Stephen Covey. I'm not a product of my circumstances. I'm a product of my decisions. Choice is a huge, powerful thing in our armamentarium. We can choose how we think, how we feel, and what we do at all levels, okay? It makes a huge impact. Okay, speaking about choices, this is the most awesome epigenetic study I've come across yet. So there's 2 groups. Group 1, hedonic group. They were told, go do something fun for yourself. Buy a purse, go shopping, do something. Seriously, that was one of the examples. Group 2, do something for somebody else. Volunteer time, work at a soup kitchen, whatever. They measured your RNA expression for inflammatory markers and antibody production before and then after each event. And this is the data. Don't worry about A, look at B. Hedonic is the people that did stuff for themselves. And when pro-inflammatory markers way up, antibody production way down. Now look at this. Pro-inflammatory markers, flat, antibody production way up for the people that are doing things for other people. All right. And you think about this. I keep thinking of Mother Teresa. Mother Teresa should be, she's old, well, she's passed away now, but when she was in India, she's old, frail, and basically never gets sick. When she got sick, that's because she needed a left main stent and was having heart failure. All right, she wasn't getting infected and dying from infections like everyone else around her. So you have to think about, hey, maybe people that do stuff for other people are protecting themselves from, just generalized infection, stress, inflammation. Really, really powerful stuff here. Okay, back to the blue zones here. When you look at the blue zone things that were really important in the study, over half are socially connected things. Purpose, downshift, less stress. Belong, loved ones, first family, right tribe. All right, And this is why this talk's the most important. We all know that we should eat better and exercise more and sleep. I mean, you even need a lecture for that. What you don't know is that you have to adjust the way you think, help other people, hang out with the right tribe. And if your tribe is all jacked up, you can change your tribe from the inside out. Seriously. And then, your family. Family, if something's not right with your family, nothing can be happy in your life. And that includes your parents, your kids, or your brother or sister. If they're having some problem, your life is not going to be right. It's a big deal. Okay, now the last thing here. This is a great statue. It's in Switzerland. But really, purpose. I really think that the reason people are always searching is because that's the last thing God has dropped into us as the last resort to try to get you back. All right. A lot of times people are like, I'm going to go work for Greenpeace, or I'm going to go feed the homeless in San Francisco. And you talk to a lot of those people, and they're still not fulfilled. One of the big things that fulfills is you have to have a bigger purpose, not just outside yourself, way outside yourself. And there's only one thing that actually provides that, and that's God. So what's interesting is I actually came to PUC, and I was actually on my knees praying in Newton Hall, 3rd floor, and I had this thought in my head, and the thought was, not that there's no God. It's like, maybe there is no God. And what I did is I immediately stood up, stopped praying. And about the next 3 or 4 years, I was mentally, emotionally checked out of the church. I would still go down and give my worship cards, because you have to. I was still attending PUC, but I had no connection with God. The one thing that kind of brought me back is when you have like even 3 or 4 years of your whole standard is what's best for Harvey, what's best for me, how does it impact me? Man, that has no meaning. It's very hollow. Then you start thinking, no, you know what? I need to live outside myself. And then that's what kind of helped me get back to God. That and Joyce is a huge factor in that. And Josh too. Noah, no credit to him. Okay. Because he's 12 years old, he's into that phase, he's turning into a brat at 12. He used to be really cute, charming. Now, no. Okay. But in all seriousness, I think really that there is a big hollow spot, and I think God has built humans that way, as that's the last resort to try to get you back to Him. Okay. All right. And this is the other thing. This whole week I've been talking about health, live longer, live better. But the big thing is, we're talking about, do you want to live to 100 years, or do you want to live for eternity? All right, and so so what the pages have been talking about, much more important than what I've been talking about, because I'm talking about like, hey, lose some weight and run faster and and feel better. We're talking about really transforming your whole life inside out. All right. Okay, your mission is you choose to accept it. It's possible. So this is the end of this talk. Now I have some exercises. Basically, think positive. All right. Don't stress. It's a waste of time and energy. You can't affect anything. Laugh. Laughing is protective. It's good for you. Helping others helps you. All right. There's a lonely person. Go sit with that person. Someone needs some money. Help that person out. Actually, you're helping yourself more than helping that person. Be social. Have purpose. Nothing gives more purpose like God. Okay. That is the end of this talk, but I need to wrap up the whole series. So there's a couple of things I'd like to do. All right. So this is my favorite verse. This actually helped me get back to God as well. Being confident of this, that who began a good work in you will carry it on to completion until the day of Jesus Christ. And so the way I read this is that God is never going to give up to you until the bitter end when He comes back. No matter how far you run away, no matter how big of a jerk you are. Jerry's testimony where he's selling drugs in Denver, and now he's a conference president, that's unbelievable. Honestly, the only reason that worked is because he's white. Okay? All right. Edit that out, Sarah. All right. Yeah, because if we did it, we wouldn't make it that high up. Come on. Maybe treasurer, but we're not going to be president. Come on. Let's be serious here. All right. All right. Because we're good at math. All right. Okay. All right. But now to wrap up the whole week. This is really, really important. Okay, I know a lot of people do not like Tony Robbins, but this is a really powerful exercise. Okay. Dickens. What's Christmas story? What happens in the Christmas story? How many spirits? The ghost of Christmas? Ghost of Christmas? Ghost of Christmas? So what Robbins has the audience do is start thinking about your beliefs. So we've gone through a lot of things this week. And so what are some of your, don't say this out, but I want everyone to, we're going to go really slow because I want people to actually do this. All right. What are some of your negative beliefs? I'm too fat. I can't exercise. People are going to laugh at me. I've sinned so much. God doesn't want me. I can't be even a deacon at church because I've done so many things and people know about it. Or like, I am embarrassed to go back to church because of the way that my kid acted 14 years ago. There's a lot of these negative thoughts that you have. Now, what he wants you to do is do this. What has those beliefs cost you and your family in the past? What opportunities have you missed? What harm has it caused you? What things have you missed out on? Just think about that for a little bit. Now, here's where it gets really bad. Those same beliefs, what is that costing you and your family right now? What things are you excluding? What things are you not trying? What things are you unwilling to even take a little risk because of those beliefs? Now here's the big one. What is this going to cost you in the future if you do not change those beliefs? All right, you're going to have to fundamentally change the way you think to fundamentally change your life. And that's really, really important. All right. No one has to share what they're thinking about or what beliefs, but think about that. All right, we can all change here. All right. Now, final exercise here. We've learned a bunch of stuff, prayer journaling, praying in groups, a bunch of health stuff, sleep more, eat better, exercise, laugh, etc. So here, what's busted in your life? Everyone, trust me, you guys are smart enough to know what's jacked up in your life, right? 2, are you going to fix it? That's actually a question. Because some people will go, I should do this, but you have to make a decision, commit that I'm going to actually, you have to identify, and then you have to commit to do it. The third thing here, what new thing that you learned at camp, from me maybe, more importantly, from the pages, are you going to go home off the hill and implement into your life and into your family's life and make a big difference in their lives? All right, think about that for a little bit. All right, I think this has been a really great week. Thanks for your attention, but we're all done now. Thanks.
If you have any questions, talk to me in the afternoon.